Hey guys, Chris here, and I'm Ukrainian Canadian. Today is February 3rd, 2025, and let's get to the news and updates happening in Ukraine and Russia, shall we? So, first, I'll cover a very big change in the Ukrainian military structure to a core structure. Then, I'll cover the story of the Ukrainian UAVs attacking yet again massive Russian oil refineries and facilities last night and the aftermath. Then I'll talk about a high value Russian target being assassinated in Moscow this morning. And last but not least, I want to share with you guys a very important video just to showcase what Ukraine is fighting against. So let's first cover the biggest news and the biggest announcement of today from the Ukrainian Commander-in-Chief, Syrsky, who announces that to adapt to the challenges of the times and working to strengthen the army, there is a reform that's going to be done in the armed forces organizational structure, and we have begun implementing measures to transition to core-based structure. Again, the size of a core military structure is about 20 to 45,000 soldiers, depending. So again, we don't know the real number, but it's a lot bigger than what Ukraine currently operates with, which is usually at a brigade level of about 2 to 5,000 soldiers. And this has been kind of the Achilles heel for Ukraine the last year and a half, as Russia has adapted to a different type of warfare. Ukraine has a lot of struggles, and I think this is a direct answer to Pokrovsk and the struggles that Ukraine has had there in the last year, because the lack of coordination between these small brigades that are lacking the logistics or lacking just kind of this massive structure necessary to stop a massive Russian force that is often 50 to 60,000 strong, especially in the Pokrovsk direction, whereas Ukraine is trying to defend with just these small brigades, which are not really well coordinating their defense. They're not communicating well. There's often the chain of command is often just lost as to what they're supposed to do. So this will just merge the Ukrainian forces and strengthen them. So that will allow the Ukrainians as well to better coordinate and plan their offensive operations and also defensive operations. And this change is also expected to save both human and material resources by merging a lot of the and centralizing a lot of the decision making that is really necessary within the Ukrainian military. Also, it's indicated that each corps, the new formed core structure over the next few months, will consist of 4 to 5 mechanized brigades, a reconnaissance regiment, and other separate combat and logistics units. And the corps is usually commanded by a major general, chief of staff, and deputy chief of staff, and brigadier generals. So this will just really centralize the decision-making process, make it a lot easier to plan operations. So I see this as a very big improvement, but of course it needs to be done appropriately and effectively, right? Everything is in the details and how it's going to be done. It's not going to be a thing like tomorrow this change is going to be implemented. It's going to take a very long time, many months. But with this announcement, I see that likely over the next few months, we're going to see some very positive changes, and also the assignment of the new commander of the land forces, General Drapate, which I've mentioned previously, which is seen as a very positive a change for the Ukrainian forces, somebody that is well respected, somebody that is known to put out fires and problems within the Ukrainian military. I see that Ukraine is changing its ways, it's changing its philosophy around warfare, and this is very positive as well. So the next news I want to share with you guys is more successful Ukrainian UAV attacks on Russian soil. So the first one, I covered it over YouTube community last night. I share with you guys an image of the aftermath of a Ukrainian drone hitting an oil refinery in Volgograd. So this is one of the largest oil refineries in Russia. I think it's in the top 10 largest oil refineries, the Lukoil refinery. You can see that based on NASA satellite images of, it's a satellite that can showcase fires from space. You can see that there's several fires ongoing right now on this oil refinery as of this morning, meaning that this was a successful attack. Locals could hear about 50 explosions that were heard near this facility. And let's not forget that this refinery processes close to 6% of the country's oil. So this is a very juicy target. And it seems like Ukraine was successful in damaging part of this facility. Additionally, Ukraine also successfully attacked and damaged the Astrakhan gas processing plant that caught fire after a drone attack. So this is the largest gas chemical complex in Russia, and it's located quite far away. Astrakhan is not close to Ukraine, a couple hundreds of kilometers away from Ukraine. And in 2022, this plant processed 10 billion cubic meters of natural gas and 3.4 million tons of unstable gas condensate. So a very juicy target. And as you can see, based on the videos of the locals filming the aftermath, this was a successful attack. So the Ukrainian debris is working quite well, and it will continue to work quite well over the next few months and years as well. Who knows? Now, let's talk about the high-value Russian targets assassinated in Moscow today. So this person was called Armen Sarkisyan, and he was actually a Ukrainian separatist that was wanted by Ukraine because he was, first of all, the founder of the Arbat battalion, which essentially was a battalion formed by this man to fight against the Ukrainian forces. He was also, he took part in organizing pro-Russian Titushki groups during the Maidan. If you guys don't know who the Titushki were, they were just pro-Russian paid kind of saboteurs that would go and stir chaos during the Maidan protests to then give a casus belli for Yanukovych, the then president of Ukraine, back in 2013, to then sweep with his Berkut, his SWAT forces, and beat up the protesters during the Maidan. So he was helping Yanukovych as well in kind of just beating up peaceful protesters. Additionally, he also oversaw prison facilities across Russia and Russian-held Ukrainian territories, which then gave him the leverage to recruit some of these inmates for the battalion, the Arbat battalion. So this is a successful operation. Now, whether this was Ukrainian HUR, military intelligence operation, remains to be seen. It's unclear. It could very well be an internal gang war between crime bosses in Russia. As far as we know, this could be also a possible scenario of what happened. But either way, we know that one less terrorist to worry about is a good thing. And the fact that this happened in the Russian capital, again, in the middle of the day, has serious psychological effects on the elites feeling safe in Moscow. I've talked about it many times, but every other month, there's like an assassination ongoing somewhere in St. Petersburg or in Moscow, the capitals, kind of the crown jewel cities of Russia. And, you know, Putin can gaslight his elites as much as he wants that everything is safe and everything is under control. But when you have these high-value targets being assassinated in broad daylight, this has serious psychological effects. And I would equate it to what happened a few weeks ago in New York City. It's different in terms of the analogy, but still somebody very influential, the United Healthcare CEO, being assassinated in broad daylight in downtown New York City. And, you know, everybody just asking themselves, what is going on, right? New York City is one of the best protected and defended cities from terrorism. And here you have somebody that could just shoot and kill and assassinate a high-value CEO. So this is very similar here in Moscow when you have just these very influential elites being killed or assassinated. Again, we don't know who did it. It could have been the Ukrainian intelligence. It could have been something else, somebody else. But either way, it's clear that Putin clearly doesn't have the situation under control. And last but not least, guys, I want to showcase and share with you guys a video of an interview. So this, I recommend you guys to, first of all, subscribe to this guy's channel, Max Pass on YouTube. He does basically streams of him going, I guess, on chat roulette or Omegle and meeting with Russian citizens and just interviewing them and seeing what their thoughts are about the Ukrainian war. And you can guess that most of them are very inappropriate. Most of these Russians are cruel, vicious, and they support entirely the war in Ukraine. So even after 3 years, their positions have not changed. But this interview, I guess, or this dialogue between the Russian girls and Max really, you know, just reminded me how cruel the Russians can be. So I'm going to read it out to you because he has the captions here at the bottom. Glory to Russia. And then Max says, what's your response to glory to Russia? Glory to Russia. It's a fact. Okay, got it. So are you real patriots? No, we're screwdrivers. They say it sarcastically. And then the girls ask, are you a streamer? Yeah. How many viewers do you have? About 50. Mom, I'm famous. Really? 50? Yep. Why so few? Ah, half of them don't even have the internet and electricity too. Yeah, we don't have power often. Well, thank God. We have electricity every day. And she smiles. Congratulations. That's great for you. Does it make you happy that Ukrainians don't have electricity? Yeah. Interesting. What does that make you happy? Not exactly happy, but it's nice. What about heating or water? You do realize that when you have no power, the pumps don't work. No pumps, no heating. But when you lack something, I honestly don't care. I don't give a... Yeah, so for anyone thinking, again, I want to remind my viewers, I will showcase once in a while these interviews, because anyone that thinks that somehow this war, when it will end with a ceasefire, or it will end after a ceasefire, some peace talk or negotiation that is agreed upon between Russia and Ukraine, and everything's go back to normal, it's a pipe dream. Ukraine will have to unfortunately deal with millions of like-minded Russians like these two girls for generations to come. You think that in a few years they'll quiet down, they'll out of nowhere become democratic or liberal, share similar values compared to the ones in Europe, in Canada? No. Russia will never change unless their power is taken away and they are reformed. And this reform cannot be them auto-administrating this reform. It has to be imposed on them, similar to what happened in Germany and Japan after World War II. It's a monumental task, and I don't even know how that's going to be done, and if there is even a will to do it. But if that's not done, then Ukraine will have to deal with, again, for decades, if not centuries, to come with these types of Russians. And again, credit to Max for his calm demeanor, talking with these cruel and vicious girls, honestly. But if you guys are interested in watching more interviews, he has a channel on YouTube, and I highly recommend you guys watch it to just understand the mindset of the everyday, ordinary Russian. I already know it. I don't need to be watching these videos, but I always find it to be interesting, you know, to just hear what they have to say and how they rationalize the war. But for those that are interested, please subscribe to Max Bass. He makes really great videos, and just the fact that he's calm about it, because other channels often are just very emotional, whereas he just kind of accepts what they have to say, sometimes even plays along with it. And I find it to be very interesting because that unravels more out of these Russians, these ordinary Russians, what they really think. So with all that, guys, thank you so much for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the Ukrainian cause. It's so important in this chaotic world that we live in today, to support nations that are fighting for democracy and really the values that we believe in. Freedom of speech, democracy, it's absolutely important. So I'm really thankful for that. Again, let me know in the comment section your opinions, your thoughts about any of the news that I covered today. And thank you. Slava Ukraini.